Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Racha, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone who to rule and teach well. Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Barakathum, peace and blessings, salutation to the sincere Akim, noising this gospel abroad, keeping the faith and testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shai, and to the few Akwath, listen and learn as well. To you I say Shalom. So we approaching the climax of World War III. You know, things are going down. The so-called Middle East, Western Asia is on fire, and there's more conflicts to come. When you read 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter, it tells you that in verse 18, it talks about the beginning of wars, right? Yahweh Shah told us about wars and rumors of wars. You know, so we're in that time where we're seeing prophecy take place, and it's almost surreal seeing it go down, but we already know what's coming down the pipe, you know, because all these nations that are getting involved in these conflicts, you know, they don't even really fully understand why they can't work it out. You know, because you would think, right, with all these nations that are nuclear armed, if it was really up to them, they would have came to an agreement. If it was up to them, they would have came to an agreement. They would have worked something out, sat down at the round table and said, you know what, we can't have nuclear war because that's mutually assured destruction. So let's just, you know, stop the fighting. Okay, that's what they would do if the power was in their hand. But see, when you understand that all of what's going on and taking place in this earth is the will of Yahweh Bashmel Shai, then you begin to see what the end goal of all of this is, which is ultimately nuclear Armageddon and Yahweh Shai returning in the midst of that. But we know that before things go nuclear, these devils must bring about the MOTB. You know, that must come first, which, you know, that is getting ready to happen any day now. You know, with this war raging, the global markets are crashing. You know, the banks are getting ready to go down soon. Like, you know, we go into these things. But at the end of the day, you know, the third woe is rapidly approaching. Okay, let's get that real quick. This is Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right, so that second woe is talking about the Second World War. All right, because woe goes into destruction. You know, shortly after that, now we coming into the Third World War, which is, you know, the war to end all wars. You see, and this is why these devils are talking about, you know, we'll get into it, but these devils are now talking about putting boots on the ground over there in Iran. All right, and you let the West tell it. You know, you listen to the Western propaganda, they'll really have you believe that they over there smashing Iran, that they putting belt to ass to Iran, and it's, you know, quite the opposite. Okay, America and the small hats, they getting their ass whooped over there in that region, man. Okay, their influence in that region has pretty much been rooted out. Okay, now you got Trump coming on TV trying to talk tough, talk about we wanted unconditional surrender from Iran. But wait a minute, okay? If you getting your ass whooped, you don't have no grounds to tell, you know, who your opponent is that they got to stop the fighting. No, you see, that ain't how it work, man. All right, the person that's whooping your ass, they get to whoop your ass until they feel like it. All right, until they decide they want to stop. You see, and they've been calling for a ceasefire, America. But Iran ain't gonna give them no ceasefire because they understand that's only an opportunity for them to reload and, you know, regroup and regather. All right, Iran is not gonna give them the time to do that, man. So this is why these nonstop attacks are gonna continue on these American assets in Western Asia. Okay, so this is all from Yahweh Bashmil Shah, and the Lord, he's mustering the hosts of the battle, and from this point on, there's no going back. You know, there could be a temporary ceasefire. You know, we'll see. You know, they could potentially stop the fighting. But either way it goes, even if they do stop for a temporary moment, it's going to flare right back up. All right, because ultimately the Lord is about, tired of Esau. He about to get this man out of here and all the other heathen with him. So this video right here from TYT, the Young Turks. Lindsey Graham tries to rope more countries into war. Okay, and this is not going to work out how Esau thinks it's going to work out, because now they calling on Saudi and, those Eastern nations to pretty much come against Iran. All right, but the problem that they have with that is because they're trying to run that propaganda and, pretty much make Iran the boogeyman. But what those other nations in that region are seeing is that Iran can hold its own against America. And furthermore, with all those American bases in Saudi, in Qatar, in Bahrain, okay, in Dubai, you see, they allowed America to put those bases there because America assured them that they would protect those nations. You see, but with the Iranian onslaught of missiles taking these bases out and killing all kind of military personnel, which, by the way, they spinning that false propaganda of only 7 soldiers have died, which is complete bullshit. Okay, it's more like 700 and counting. All right, that's the real number. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you have a VPN and you check out the real news sources coming from these foreign nations like Europe and over there in Western Asia, then you'll see that the death toll for American troops is much higher. Okay, there's a lot that's not gonna make it to America, man, because there's a media blackout and they don't want you to see and know certain things. But just know that that's what's going on. Okay, but it's gonna backfire because these Saudi, for example, they Iran then destroyed all kind of military bases over there, and America has not came in to help them yet. You see, so at some point, according to prophecy, these nations, all right, especially Saudi, what I'm saying, because it speaks about in 2nd Ezra 15 that the dragons of Arabia are going to come together with Persia, and what I'm saying, and they're going to come against the land of the Assyrians, which would be modern day America, Babylon the Great. All right, so we already know what's going to happen via prophecy, but these things got to play out as the Lord wants them to. So yeah, we're gonna check out, got a few videos lined up as well and a few articles, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying.
I think this is also telling. He said, our allies in Israel have shown amazing capability when it comes to collapsing the murderous regime in Iran. America is most appreciative, as if Israel's doing us a favor by going into this war, right? Then he continues, however, there will be a day soon that the Iranian people will be in charge of their own fate, not the murderous Ayatollah's regime. In that regard, please be cautious about what targets you select. Our goal is to liberate the Iranian people in a fashion that does not cripple their chance to start a
and peep the propaganda, right? They talking about the murderous Ayatollah. Okay, look at the language that these devils use, man. Okay, and this is all once again to sell the narrative that Iran is the boogeyman. Okay, when who attacked first? Was it not America that attacked Iran first? Matter of fact, when Iran was trying to have peace agreements, what I'm saying, they was having peace talks, America bombed them twice. You see, so Iran, when they were trying to be like, look, man, we don't want to go to war because this is going to end bad. And in the midst of these so-called peace talks, America was readying their military to come against Iran. I mean, we brought it out while it was happening, and they actually bombed Iran first. Okay, on day one, all right, they bombed that school with the Iranian schoolgirls. All right, I believe it was like 175 or more. All right, which that's a complete cowardly act, man. And you already know that those children were sacrificed unto Molech. Okay, that that was a sacrifice to bless their endeavor. Okay, and now it's coming out that America did do that strike, man. You see, so Esau is not looking good on the world stage, and this is why these nations are going to come against his ass. All right, because they see the propaganda, they see the lies and the slander, and it's not holding up. Okay, even right here in America, man, people are against this goddamn devil because they're now seeing through his lies, man. Nothing he's saying is making sense. And then when they see the news sources, the narrative that he's given is completely contrary to what's actually going on. All right, and then they talking about they want to liberate the Iranian people. Liberate them from what? All right. You see? No, the world needs to be liberated from you goddamn Edomites, man. And see, that's what's getting ready to happen through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashman Washai, because they are the problem. All right. When you look at the common denominator between all these wars and all this bullshit that's going on, it's Esau. All right. Mainly Amalek, the small hats. All right. That's who the common denominator is of all the hell and chaos that's happening on this planet Earth, man. And that's why they're going to be rooted out. But let's continue.
A new and better life when this regime collapses. The oil economy of Iran will be essential to that endeavor. So he's saying the Israelis bombing the oil facilities, which caused the black rain and the disaster in Tehran. He's saying, could you please watch that? Because that's going to drive up oil prices here at home for us. And, the Iranian people will need that later. We care so much about the Iranians. But to me, the most telling part of that whole thing was, pretty please, Israel? What do you mean, please? What does that please mean?
So embarrassing.
Okay, no.
So embarrassing.
Hey, you are not to bomb one more thing that we tell you not to bomb. And if you do, I'm going to take away $1 billion. And the next bomb that lands that was not authorized by US, I'm going to take away another $1 billion. And I'm going to take a ship off your coast that's defending you with interceptor missiles. And go ahead, I dare you, defy America one more time. Drag us into another war. We're now spending $1 to $2 billion a day on behalf of Israel in this war. So tell me one more time that you're not going to listen to what America says.
$2 billion a day, all right, on this war, man. But these devils can't solve the poverty issue. They can't allow people to have jobs. They can't bring the cost of living down. You see, they can't bring the price of food down, nothing. But they got $2 billion a day to drop bombs on these foreign nations, man. Shows you what kind of ruler that we dealing with, man. It shows you that these devils are not fit to rule. Okay? They're wicked, man. They don't have the best interest of the people in mind. Okay, but they'll try to spin the narrative of, we're here to liberate, we're here to bring civilization. Okay, we're here to stop the madness. Well, no, nigga, everything that's happening on this earth is because of your ass, man. You see? Oh, we're here to liberate the Iranian people. Like, they give two shits about the Iranian people. Here it is, right here in America. They done broke the arm of a Marine, took him away, arrested him, all right, because he stood up and said that nobody wants to fight for the small hats. You see? So, but what happened to freedom of speech? What happened to the land of the free and home of the brave, man? Man, please.
I'll remove 2 ships. I'll remove all ships. I'll remove the funding for Iron Dome. Tell me again about how you're not going to listen to us. But instead, so that wouldn't, guys, no matter where you are on the political spectrum, wouldn't that be a rational response to a country that we're supposed to be partners and allies with? We're going to this war, and we say, please don't do this because that is a bad idea and it hurts our interest. And Israel goes, shut up, America. I'll do whatever I like. Ignore them, bomb, right? And they do. So the rational response is to have consequences for that kind of action. Mm-hmm. They are not supposed to be the boss of us. We're supposed to be the boss of them. We're the ones with the money, the military, etc., that they keep taking and taking and taking to no end. So no, I don't need American politicians pleading with the Israelis. Pretty please, boss, will you ever listen to us? And I know Lindsey Graham is used to being on his knees, and that's his favorite place to be. But you're embarrassing the rest of us, Lindsey. Get up and leave. Clean up and go home.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Or stay down if you want. I don't care. No kink shaming. Just leave us alone. Okay, leave the Senate and leave the American people alone instead of dragging them into nonsensical wars for whatever reason.
The hardest part is.
Yeah, so there's an overwhelming sentiment from the American people that this is an unjust war. That we don't want to die for these small hats. They don't got nothing to do with us. Then on top of that, you got that devil Lindsey Graham, that fucking Mo, all right, calling for more nations to get into this war. All right, but like I said, it's going to backfire. Okay, let me see. Yeah, and then now these devils trying to jump off more wars with China and Cuba. All right, now they talking about Cuba. The Cuban regime is gonna fall. Okay, so within the next 2 weeks, these devils are getting ready to go into Cuba, man. So you about to have all kind of conflicts going on, and once again, this is why they're gonna call for boots on the ground. All right, they're gonna call back for a draft because all these wars these devils are jumping off. The military as it is right now is not large enough. Okay, they don't have a large enough military to be able to fight all these conflicts. Okay, then once Russia and China get involved in this Iran conflict, China got a 1 million-man army. Russia, they got probably damn near a 1 million-man army as well. And guess what? The difference between America and Russia and China is that Russia and China soldiers actually have morale. Okay, Iranian soldiers actually have morale. They're actually fighting for a cause, man. Okay, since they killed the Ayatollah, they look at him as a martyr. You know what I'm saying? They look at him as a hero because he could have left Iran and went, probably sought refuge in Russia or China somewhere. But he stayed there with his people and he paid the price. Okay, so that's seen as a great act of heroism. You know what I'm saying? That he was willing to die with his people and defend his nation, man. So those Iranians now, they're fighting for in their minds a just and righteous cause, and they're seeing the wickedness and the propaganda of America against them. So now even the youth in Iran, they ready to fight. Same thing with Russia, same thing with China, same thing with North Korea. Okay, the Lord got a different spirit on these nations now. But you look at the soldiers in America, zero morale. Okay, everybody's saying, look, we don't have nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? This is not our war. This is the small hats war. Let them deal with it. So nobody wants to fight. But guess what? They're going to make you fight any damn way. Okay, and guess what? They're going to go to any means necessary to make it happen. All right, even if that means taking away your quality of life. You know what I'm saying? Grabbing your ass up, throwing you in a black van, and putting fatigues on your ass and putting you on the front lines. All right, they're gonna go forth to do it all. All right, and guess what? They're gonna use ICE. Okay, because this whole ICE thing that they've been doing for the last few months. That was practice for them to go around and start grabbing up U.S. citizens, man. Okay. So very soon, things here in America is going to get very critical, man. It's going to be civil unrest, riots in the streets, and it's going to be a bloodbath. But let's listen to this devil, man. All right?
A supplemental defense package of $50 billion from the Pentagon.
So you heard that? $50 billion supplemental package for war from the Pentagon to deal with Iran and to go into Cuba. $50 billion. But once again, all the problems that's in America, they ain't got no answer for that.
Yes to both. We need it. We want the strongest military to end the wars quickly. Look what we're doing here. We've lost 6 soldiers. God bless them. We're devastating the enemy. I'm not looking.
And that's 6 soldiers. That's a goddamn lie. Okay? You mean to tell me all them bases that's been blown up with military personnel and only 6 people died? Stop it, man. Okay? Like I said, when you go on the international news, the real figure is more around 700 and counting, because them bombs are still dropping. Okay, so don't let these devils deceive you and make it seem like they're just taking the most minute casualties. Oh, we're not taking any casualties, but Iran, they're getting blown to smithereens. No, man, it's the opposite. All right, but again, you're dealing with the devil. All right, so you gotta take what these devils say with a grain of salt. Really, not even a grain of salt, man. You just gotta throw what these devils say out the window completely, because if these devils are talking, it's all lies.
For a fair fight. If we get in a fight, I want to win it. I want to win it quick. I'm in Miami. You see this hat? Free Cuba. Stay tuned. Yeah. The liberation of Cuba is upon us. It's just.
You heard him? The liberation of Cuba is upon us. So the next front. The next front that Esau about to open up is on Cuba. And no doubt they're going to go into more South American nations. And I saw an article the other day. I forget what country that they bombed in South America. I want to say it was Ecuador or San Salvador or something like that. It's like something I saw on the timeline, but I just glazed past it. But they already bombed another South American nation, man. So they about to go into the Caribbean now, all right, just like they did Venezuela, and they about to go take Cuba. And the reason why they want to get Cuba is because Cuba has ties to Russia, all right. And they don't want Russia setting up shop in America's backyard, with ports and ships and bases in Cuba and stuff like that. So that's why they want to go in. All right. So that right there, that could potentially also draw out Russia into this thing as well. So the Lord is setting this thing up to where these devils, man, they're jumping off so many wars to where they're not gonna know what to do with themselves. All right. And furthermore, they don't got the strategy. See, we're not dealing with the Edomite of World War I and World War II, you know what I'm saying, to where, those men, they, number one, had morale. Okay, they actually believed they were fighting for something. But even on top of that, all right, these people that they got in office in these positions of war now, they already know nothing about no real war, man. Okay, like really the last real war generals that you had were in World War II. Okay, because the ones you had in World War II, they had experience in World War One, prior wars before that, you know what I'm saying? So they were experienced in war. Okay, like over the past, 50 years, America really has not won any significant wars that they've been in. Okay, Iraq was a failure, Afghanistan was a failure, Vietnam was a failure. All right. So these military generals that you got in there now, they don't really have any real experience, man. They pretty much going off of, AI and what they got on paper type shit. But, it's not anything to where they can tangibly say, okay, I've really been to war. Like I've taken people down and, what I'm saying? Like we have strategies to put against the enemy, man. No. You see, when you deal with Russia and China and Iran, just to name a few, they have real war generals, man, that have, been bred for this. You see, the leader of America, which is Donald Trump, he not no damn, war general. This man is a damn TV celebrity, okay? What the hell do he know about war? So America is a complete joke, and you know what I'm saying? That's why right now Iran is outsmarting their ass on the ground over there in Western Asia. Okay, here it is. You got Iran doing some Looney Tune shit to where they're drawing, planes on the ground and tankers on the ground. They're using inflatable military equipment, and America's dropping, billion-dollar bombs, wasting all those munitions just to destroy these fake decoys, man. When the whole, Iranian military is underground. So Esau through. Esau ain't got it. But yeah, he want to jump off all these wars, man. It's over with.
Just a matter of time now. You see this at? Make Iran great. President Trump said the only way to make Iran great is for the people to take over. We're marching through the world. We're cleaning out the bad guys. We're going to have relationships with new people that will make us prosperous and safe. I've never seen anybody like it. This is Ronald Reagan plus. Donald Trump is resetting the world in a way nobody could have dreamed of a year ago. He is the greatest commander-in-chief of all time. Our military is the best of all time. Iran is going down, and Cuba is next.
All right. Well, we'll be watching what's next on Cuba. For sure, got a lot of hats there. The president's got a lot of balls in the air. Senator, thank you very much. Lindsey Graham, thank you, sir.
And that's the delusional pride of these devils. When you get, let's go to Isaiah 14, all right? Because the scriptures talk about this devil's pomp, all right, which goes into his pride. This is Isaiah 14, I believe that's 9, 10. Yeah, we'll start at 9. Isaiah 14:9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. Verse 10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? art thou become like unto us? And they talking about Esau, Babylon. Okay, now the other nations are looking at this nigga and they saying, have you become as weak as we? All right, when you read your third chapter, it says what? Let the weak say I'm strong. So all these weaker nations, such as Iran, they look, Iran 10, 20, 30 years ago, they would have never been talking how they talking and moving like this against America. You know what I'm saying? They would have never dared to do that. See, but now they view America as weak. The fact that the Iran has been holding its own against America for over a week now is showing the world that America is not this strong superpower that they claim to be. That they're on the decline, man. That's why it says, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Okay, and this Lucifer, this is speaking about the light bearers, okay, or what what you would call the Illuminati. Okay, so referring to the elites of Edom. Okay, they are now being cut down to the ground, man. They're you know what I'm saying, and they're the ones that has weakened the nations. All right, so their pomp, their pride is being brought down to the grave, man. Okay, so that's what's happening to these devils right now. They're being confounded at every turn. All right, so now, yeah, you know what I'm saying, now this devil Hegseth, okay, Hegseth on potential of U.S. boots on the ground in Iran. Quote, we're willing to go as far as we need to. So he's basically, saying the quiet part out loud. If this devil is talking about we're willing to go as far as we need to, that means that a war draft is coming and that they are going to put boots on the ground over there. Okay, like you already have American troops being deployed over there already, man. And they're already dying. Quiet is kept. So let's check this out.
As far as how you get at that nuclear option, we'll make sure that their nuclear ambitions are never achieved.
Will we take it out ourselves?
Well, I would never tell you or anybody else what our options are. See, that's another thing. People keep asking.
It's a legitimate question.
It's a very fair question. People ask boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, go in, go in. President Trump knows, I know, you don't tell the enemy, you don't tell the press, you don't tell anybody what your limits would be on an operation. We're willing to go as far as we need to in order to be successful.
Do we have any overt or covert forces inside Iran now?
I wouldn't tell you that if we did.
Only reason I ask is earlier this week you said no. Is that still the answer?
Yeah, that's still the answer, but we reserve the right. We would be completely unwise if we did not reserve the right to take any particular option, whether it included boots on the ground or no boots on the ground.
CBS News contributor and former CIA officer.
Yeah, so you heard him. All right, we're willing to go as far as we need to. Okay, which means that yes, we will put boots on the ground if we need to. And guess what? They will need to. Because ultimately the Lord is going to make them, man. And see, one thing about this war you got to keep in mind, man, this all encompasses judgment. Okay, because we know these devils, they have a Depop agenda to where they want to knock off a certain amount of people off the earth. These wars go into that. Okay, that's why they're starting all these wars off, man, because it's not like they're just fighting one front. Okay, they're fighting multiple fronts at the same time. So they're going to have to do a military draft. Or else what army are they going to have to fight on the ground? Because you can't conquer a country just by bombing it, you know what I'm saying, and just going in. No. Okay, you have to put soldiers on the ground, to go in and, actually do what you got to do. All right, and the fact they talking about going up into Iran, that's not going to work. Okay, for the simple fact that they don't know the terrain of Tehran, of Iran, and Iran is a very dangerous country, man. Like historically, no country, no nation has even been able to conquer Iran. Like you even go back to the days of Alexander the Greek, when he, first came in, he tried to conquer Persia and he couldn't do it. Okay, and to this day, Persia has never been conquered. Okay, and one of the main reasons why is because of the rough terrain. Okay, they got all the mountains over there. They got deserts and just all kind of stuff, to deter outside enemies into where Iran has the advantage. Because also keep in mind, Iran, they're fighting on the home turf. America, they fighting abroad in a land that they really don't know about. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that, basically America is handicapped in this war. You see, but they talking like they got the advantage. All right, but that's, what I'm saying. Look, and it was one interview I saw to where it was I think it was an Iranian journalist or something like that, to where he said that they're waiting for America to invade. You see, he said, yeah, well, we want them to come. So them Persians are ready for Esau, man. Okay, they're ready for them to go in there and try something because they know it's going to end bad. Again, the Iranians, the Persians, they have the advantage. See? And when you get this, okay, U.S. strikes Iranian mine layers, warns Iran to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. Now this is all alleged, because Iran pretty much that choke point of the Strait of Hormuz has been shut down by Iran, and they not letting no Western vessels, get through. And that's why the oil price is going up and everything else as well. You see what I'm saying? So, when you get stories like this, you got to take it with a grain of salt because most of it is Western propaganda, but, we know what's really going on.
International correspondent Jason Bellini is live on the ground for us in the Middle East, in Israel. And Jason, there are reports that Iran may be or is already placing mines in the strait. What are your sources on the ground saying about that?
Those reports are just coming intel, and we know that the president on Truth Social is saying, well, if that's true, then they need to be removed immediately. Perhaps easier said than done. I think the key point here when we're talking about the Strait of Hormuz is, one, it seems like it's suddenly dawned on everyone today, really, that the Strait of Hormuz is a very big deal. 20% of the world's oil goes through there, and you have economists and analysts saying if this is cut off for too long, it could have major repercussions. It could lead to global economic depression even at the far end of the extreme. So how do you stop it? Well, you have the Pentagon and Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon today saying, well, we're taking out Iran's Navy. The problem there is, what do you need to be able to put mines in the waters of the Gulf? What do you need? You can do that with small boats. What do you need to blow holes in the sides of oil tankers? You can do that with small boats. You don't need big ships to do that. So you could have an insurgency. And the point being that Iran, now they know that they've got leverage right here because it's causing so much pain economically to the United States, to voters in America, when you've got the Strait of Hormuz effectively blocked right now. Dal?
Meet EM Sense.
Yeah, and America really hasn't even touched Iran's Navy. All right, so them talking about they're going to take out the Navy, well, they haven't done it yet. I'm saying for, what is this now, like day 11? And they have not touched Iran's Navy. They haven't touched their Air Force. Okay, they just firing missiles off, man. So America's full of shit. They just trying to save face and make it seem like they're gaining ground, but really they getting belt put to ass on it, man. Okay. Yeah, Lindsey Graham asked Americans to, quote, send their sons and daughters to the Middle East to fight Iran. Okay, so you got these devils, man, like they're seriously about to do this draft thing. All right, and of course you need congressional approval, to institute a draft, which they're gonna bypass all of that because you see how they don't honor the Constitution. All right, they don't even honor free speech. They don't honor none of the rights that these Americans have, man. So you think they're gonna honor your rights when when it comes to putting the draft in place, man? Hell no. All right, because this is gonna be seen as an emergency. Okay, so United States Senator Lindsey Graham has made alarming statements that seem to suggest he would be asking American citizens to fight in the war against Iran. Speaking on Fox News while using the opportunity to criticize Saudi Arabia for not fighting with the U.S., Graham also said he would be asking people in South Carolina, where he serves as senator, to, quote, send their sons and daughters over to the Middle East. Speaking live to Sean Hannity, Graham began to our allies, step up, get our air bases out of Spain. They're not reliable. Move all those air bases to a country that will let us use them when we're threatened by a regime like Iran. And see, Spain ain't messing with America because, Spain, they don't agree. All right, really, a lot of those European nations, they don't agree with the support for the small hats. Okay, they don't agree with what's going on in Gaza. They don't agree with what's going on with Iran, and they don't want no parts of that because Europe is trying to now look out for itself because they see that America is not going to be there to defend them. All right, when all hell breaks loose, and they're looking at the situation with Ukraine right now, which nobody seems to be talking about, but that war is still going on. They're looking at the Ukraine war, and America has not been assisting Europe in that war, man. Like, it's pretty much Europe versus Russia, and America is not there. All right, so Europe already know what the deal is, and they're like, listen, you know what I'm saying? You ain't about to use none of our bases to, refuel and bomb and re-up and none of that, man. Like, nah. All right, you gotta go somewhere else, okay? And now that all the U.S. bases in the Middle East have been taken out, they don't have no way to really keep up in this war. So they just getting their ass handed to them. All right, now they calling for, U.S., young men and women, all right, to be sent over there to war. Right? So, yeah, these devils are talking about this behind the scenes, and just know that this is going to come. And you've had brothers and sisters have dreams of a war draft happening and, young men like YNs being sent over there and just getting slaughtered. All right, so these things are going to happen. The scriptures speak about it as well. Okay? Let's go there. 2nd Ezra 15. Or maybe, I think it's 16, Salakia. 2nd Ezra 16 speaks about that. 2nd Ezra 16 and 33. It says, the virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. See? So it says, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed. All right? So right here in America, Babylon the Great, or wherever you at, especially in these overseas wars like Iran and what's going to happen over there in Western Asia, man, all right, you're going to have, young men and women right now, they saying 18 to 26, you see, be sent over there to fight and die for the small hats. And last year, BB told you that. He told you that in 2026, your sons and daughters will die for the small hats. All right, he said that verbatim. Now you see how these things are actually going down. All right. So, yeah, the scriptures speak about how, the women are going to mourn having no husbands and all of that, man, because they're going to die in these wars. So this is biblical prophecy being fulfilled. Okay. Now, check this out as well, because, we had brought it out that America, they tried to get the Kurds, okay, which is a, known enemy to the Turks. All right. And Turkey's also been giving Iran intel, all right, about what the small hats are doing. Okay, which, by the way, Turkey is currently a NATO ally, but that's not going to last for too much longer. All right, they about to leave NATO, which that's going to be a big deal. That's going to shake up Europe because Turkey is the second largest military in NATO behind America, and they are also nuclear armed as well. All right, so the Kurds, which America, through the CIA, they tried to pay them as a mercenary group to go in, boots on the ground, to fight in Iran. And see, this is another reason why they're going to have to, send in American troops, because as we're going to read here, all right, Kurds don't trust U.S. to back them against Iran. All right. So the mercenaries that they tried to get to go in there and fight against Iran, they said, man, hell no. Okay, we can't do this. This is suicide. All right. And furthermore, they know that America is not going to back them because, really, truth be told, America don't give a shit about the Kurds, man. Okay. They're just going to use them to so-called themselves, soften up Iran on the ground, which again, Iran is ready for these devils to come in. So they're not just going to walk in there and feel like that they going, drop parachutes and they going to invade and it's just going to go like that. Nah, man. Iran ain't going. But the Kurds don't trust America. So they hired them, paid them, and now they turning back. They like, nah, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna walk out of this. Okay? This ain't for us, but this is all from Yahweh Shai, man, showing you that America is having fewer and fewer allies, man. They can't even pay nobody to fight these wars. They have reportedly had bad experiences acting as Washington's proxy in past conflicts, see? So they might have promised them, yeah, well, we're going to pay you this, and, we're going to give you this, that, the third, and America never delivered. Showing you that you're dealing with the devil, man. Okay, nobody trusts Esau. Iraq's Kurds are against joining the U.S. attacks on Iran and have voiced concerns about being left facing Iranian retaliation. So they understand that going against Iran like this is a suicide mission. Okay, and they know that America ain't is not going to be behind them in this thing, man. With no ground or air defense support, the CIA began working to arm Kurdish forces hostile to the Islamic Republic after the U.S. and Israel launched strikes on Iran last Saturday, according to CNN. While U.S. President Donald Trump initially voiced support for Kurds getting involved in the conflict, he backpedaled on the idea on Saturday. The Kurds must not be the tip of the spear in this conflict, Axios wrote, citing a senior official from the Kurdistan regional government. The Iraqi Kurds are, quote, staying neutral as there is, quote, no clarity for them on whether Washington is aiming for a full regime change in Iran or just a change in personnel. The KRG official reportedly said Trump has stated that the U.S. will be involved in deciding who leads Iran in the future, but has not elaborated on how this will work, and that's bullshit. Okay, they ain't about to dictate nothing. You see? According to Axios, the Kurdish regional forces don't think regime change is possible without Washington deploying a ground invasion. See? And they don't see the U.S. putting boots on the ground, which they will eventually, but they were trying to get the Kurds to go in there and be that sacrifice first, but now they backing out. Okay, Israel has been far more aggressive both in the conflict and pushing Iranian Kurds to the fray. All right, so America can't even pay nobody to go over there and fight them Iranians, man. Showing you that even the Kurds know that going up against Iran on a ground invasion is not a good idea. You see, so what the hell is America talking about that, we want our sons and daughters to go fight, and, we might put boots on the ground. They don't know what the hell is going on. Okay, that's going to end very bad for them, which Iran said that. Iran said, look, when they come over here and try to invade, that's going to end very bad for America. So they already let it be known. All right, Iran is ready for their ass, man. Okay, a world at war. Iran conflict goes global, which of course we understand that what's going on over there with Iran. This is the beginning stages of World War III. All right, so it says here 10 days into President Trump's Iran campaign, the war is going global. At least 20 countries are now militarily involved, shooting, shielding, or quietly supplying, while a widening energy shock punishes nations far from the front lines. You see? So at least now 20 countries are involved in this conflict now. Okay? So all the countries that are involved in this war, all right, can we get it? No, okay, no, it's not going to give it to me. But it's all good. Okay, so just know that 20 countries now at least are involved in this thing. And we know that the major players are the kings of the East, mainly referring to Russia, China, North Korea, India, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan. Okay, you got Egypt and Libya in there as well. Okay, that are going to be joined to Russia. So yeah, things are out of control, man. All right, and Yahweh Shai is turning up the pressure on the earth because he's getting ready to come and save the elect. All right, and Yahweh Shai, he's going to come in the midst of World War III while the nukes are being shot off and beam up the elect. Okay, and when you get Isaiah the 13th chapter, all right? What it say? Isaiah 13 in verse 1. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones, I have also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle, which is what's happening right now. As we got in that Axios article, Salakia, as we got in that Axios article, okay, you have now, at least in the very early stages of this war, okay, 10, 11 days in, right? You now have 20 nations, okay, at least involved in this Iran conflict. Okay, so that's the Lord mustering the hosts of the battle right there. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. You see? So that's what the Lord's getting ready to do, man. He's mustering the hosts of the battle for the purpose of the valley of Jehoshaphat, or Yahweh Shaphat, Yahweh's judgment. Because the Lord is going to gather all the nations in that Western Asia, region around, the nation of the small hats in Iran, the Euphrates River, right? When you read Revelation 7:16, you see, that's where he's going to gather them to plead with them or to judge them, all right, on account of his people Israel, okay, mainly the elect. You see? So when you look at the totality of what's going on, and you look at all the intricate moving parts of how this thing is going down, man, like the Lord is playing chess, all right? And these nations, they don't even understand fully, all right, what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? All they know is that, okay, we all going into the NWO. America's arrogant. They trying to dictate to us what you know what I'm saying, what we going to do and how we going to do it. And we don't have to listen to America no more because we're sovereign, and Esau is not going to bully us and this, that, the third, and we want hegemony. And you know what I'm saying? Because you have to understand, right? Esau, he wants to be the sole hegemon going into this NWO. But the nations, they want it to be a multipolar world. So the other nations, they want to have some pull too. They want to have a say so as well. But Esau, he's like, nah, see, y'all are under me. You know what I'm saying? This is my blessing. Okay, so that's this devil's mindset, man, because he's of the mindset that he not going to share the blessing with these other nations. So that's why these wars are jumping over. That's why America's going into Venezuela and Cuba and Iran, and you know what I'm saying, they biting off more than they can chew, because they're trying to maintain that Edomite hegemony on the earth. They don't want it to be a multipolar world. You see what I'm saying? But nonetheless, man, look, when you get Psalms, right? Yeah, when you get Psalms 2:1, okay, it says, why do the heathen rage? Okay, why are all these nations on the earth raging, and they going to war, and they, going back and forth, and, all this stuff, right? And the people imagine a vain thing, because their imagination is that they're going to be the next superpower, that they're going to overcome Babylon, okay, which Babylon is going to be taken down according to biblical prophecy. But none of these nations have next up to rule. See, who's going to be next to rule are the Israelites, okay? And that's why, even though all the lies about the small hats are coming out, these nations, even though they know, because these nations know who the true Israelites are, okay? Iran knows who the Israelites are. Russia knows. China knows. All these nations know. The only ones that don't know are 2/3 of our people that refuse to take heed. But these nations know who the Israelites are, okay? That's why they're not going to come out on a world scale and proclaim that, because then if it's known who the real Israelites are, then it's going to be known, okay, these people have next to rule. So all of what we're doing is all in vain. You see, the kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Let's get that in the NLT. Why are the nations so angry? Psalms 2:1. Why do they waste their time with futile plans? The kings of the earth prepare for battle. The rulers plot together against the Lord and against his anointed one. Let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from slavery to God, because they know that's what's coming. Okay, they know after they go down, they ass going in chains for 1,000 years. All right, Esau going to chains, Ishmael going to chains, Moab, Ammon, Ham, Japheth, all these heathen nations are going to slavery under the Israelites, man. So that's what they're trying to, set up this NWO for, which is nothing more than a revival of the Tower of Babel, but it's not going to work. It's all vain. Okay, but the one who rules in heaven laughs. The Lord scoffs at them. All right, so the Lord going to drop missiles on all these nations, man, and ultimately laser chariot fire. All right, so that's what's getting ready to happen, man. But we watching a very exciting time, via prophecy, and the Lord is turning it up, man. Okay, the Lord is turning it up so so hot to where you can't ignore. It's like every hour something is going down. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this is edifying through the Rakakadash. Call Lord Yahweh Bashmi Oshai Bashim Rakakadash. And until next time, shalom to the elect.